Let's talk about this thing, the war on women. I'm kind of really interested in how that works. Uh, there is a war on women, there's no question about it. But if you look around, you'll find out it's not who you think it is. First of all, the war on women seems to be mainly about abortion, but let's face it, the majority of women are not in that category. Number one, you have to be in a childbearing age, and number two, you have to not want your child. That's got to limit the number of people. If you're happily married or happily in a relationship, that's probably not going to come into play. So we're talking about a very limited number of people, but somehow women seem to jump on the bandwagon about that. But let's face it, the people that are pushing this war on women are really the ones that have a war on women. For example, they talk about free choice all the time. Well, let's face it, you don't really have free choice. For example, if you're married and you have children, you don't have free choice as to where to send your kids to school. If you want to send them to a charter school, or if you want to send them, if you need a voucher program, if you're poor, who these people supposedly look after, they are the ones that have done away with the voucher program. One of the first things this president did, this Democratic president, when he got into office, was to eliminate the voucher program for the poorest black children in Washington, D.C. When the NAACP had their big meeting in 2014, and the president and all these other liberal speakers were there, they never mentioned, and they got together and said, let's don't talk about vouchers, because they don't want you to have a voucher if you're a poor minority, because the last thing they want is you educated. So free choice is not really free choice. The other thing is, the only people around the country that have voted for Sharia law, now you can't get much more anti-woman than Sharia law, are all Democrats. In the state of Florida, for example, they came up with a bill that said, we're going to outlaw that. We'll never have Sharia law in Florida. And to a man, the only person that voted against a law outlawing Sharia law were all Democrats. The only people voting pro outlawing Sharia law, protecting women, were Republicans. And then you have, of course, the other thing, which is, if you're really for women, how can you be against a bill or a law that says that before you can have abortion, you should have a sonogram? I mean, that to me would be in the best interest of the woman, to have a sonogram, to really know what she's getting into, and to let her know really what's in her stomach. And then maybe you wouldn't have as many suicides and depressions and regrets later on. So why would you be against that? The only reason I can think of is you love killing babies. I don't know. But it doesn't make any sense if you're pro-woman that you're going to be against something like that. That certainly protects a woman. It lets her know. It doesn't say she can't have an abortion. It just says, hey, if you're going to do this, you need to have all the facts. Well, of course, facts confuse the liberal Democrats, so I guess that's the reason. And then the other thing, the only people that are pushing for basically non-gender, unisex basically, and doing away with gender in this country are the Democrats. You don't see Tea Party, Republicans, or anybody else pushing for that. Now what that means is that eventually, if they get their way, there will be no men in women's restrooms. You'll be in a restroom with a man, and if that's pro-women, I don't understand it, don't get it, and would never vote for something like that, and I don't know any Republicans that would. So the only people that are really against women seem to be the Democrats. You won't find, and I've done a lot of research on this, you will not find any Republican or conservative broadcaster, whether it be night television or any media, that has been as vicious, absolutely vicious and vile against women as the liberal press. One of the big guys that is real popular, and unfortunately he's popular among a lot of people that are both conservative and Democrats, but Howard Stern. I don't think there's a person that is in the entertainment business that has demeaned more women and been more vile in the handling of women. Some of the videos that people have sent me are just, they're disgusting. There's no other word for it. And yet he's a Democrat. So yes, there is a war on women, but it isn't perpetrated by the Republicans. It is definitely categorically perpetrated by the Democrats, and not necessarily the rank and file, but certainly the leadership. So when you hear, I mean, they are really good at agitating and dividing people, and that's really who they are. But the war on women is not perpetrated by Republicans or Tea Party people or conservatives. If you really look, it is perpetrated, and the most vicious and vile attacks on women have come from the Democrats, not the Republicans. The Republicans can say the most benign thing, and they want him off the air. Democrats can say the most vicious, vile, disgusting lies, and nobody even does anything but laugh. So yeah, there's a war on women, but it isn't Republicans, and you need to understand that. They understand something very clearly. Ever who controls the input controls the outcome, and they definitely control the input. That's why polls are kind of ridiculous in this country, because if 90% of the people are getting misinformation, then the polls are certainly going to be slanted in one direction. They are very good at controlling the input, and whoever controls the input controls the output. So when you hear them talk about a war on women, I'd suggest you check your facts. That's my opinion, and it's worth everything I charge for it.